Breaking news in the last hour or so on social media from Santi Auna, who claims that Michael Olise from Bayern Munich and France, the mercurial talent that everybody loved throughout the Bundesliga and Champions League season, and for the predominant part of the World Cup, apart from last night's semi-final, he wants to move to Real Madrid this summer. He believes it's the perfect club to continue his progression and continue his development. Real Madrid apparently are quite keen on pulling off a world record transfer for Olise, whereas Bayern Munich's official stance is Olise is not for sale, but he could be for the right price. Bayern Munich want to extend Olise's contract. They've seen what he can do alongside Harry Kane and Luis Diaz in their front three, and have decided that the best action is to tie him down to a longer contract. So either A, he stays, or B, if they do sell, they do get a lot of money, which appears to be the case. Olise will discuss this with everybody involved in this after the World Cup, which, France is imminent. It'll be over on Saturday after the third place playoff, where they'll play one of England or Argentina. This is recorded before that second semi-final. It's a move that I think has kind of been on the cards for some while, in the sense that Real Madrid made a big song and dance about Michael Olise earlier in the campaign, specifically when Florentino Perez was looking for re-election. He was, as is the case with Real Madrid, there's always the big superstar name that comes out with the promises. And if you elect me, I'm going to sign this player, and I'm going to sign this player. No. If you elect me, I'm going to sign him instead. And Michael Olise was the one that everybody kind of floated towards. It was either him or Erling Haaland, and the Erling Haaland one definitely didn't work. Just reading up more about this, it looks as if Bayern Munich are going to command at least 200 million euros for that. And the replacement might, in fact, be Bradley Barcola from Paris Saint-Germain, which is one of those domino effect moves where if Olise joins Real Madrid, Barcola joins Bayern, Diomande joins PSG, that leaves Liverpool, for example, looking for another player to look out for, because they're obviously not going to get Diomande. They wouldn't in this scenario get Bradley Barcola. So there's a lot of moving pieces that have to happen in order for this all to fit in. But the first movement has taken place with Olise apparently claiming he wants to join Real Madrid, according to the rumours. I suppose the question after that is, where would Olise fit into the Real Madrid side? Well, I think the obvious answer would be on the right, because that's where he's excelled with Bayern Munich. They've tried at national team level to play him in that central attacking midfielder position, and it didn't really work out the way it could have. He's got the talent to do it, but there's just something better about Olise when he's drifting off from the wing and drifting inside, where he can create the most danger and create the most chances, specifically when you've got a striker like Harry Kane that's happy to... he drops deep from time to time, but he makes runs off the shoulder, and he's just... You put the ball in the penalty box for someone like him, you give him a chance, he's going to take it. You create 5 chances a game for him, he probably takes 3. And that's let alone the other players around him. You've got to remember, imagine Michael Olise in a team with Jude Bellingham, Kylian Mbappe, Arda Güler, Vinicius Jr. for the time being. You kind of wonder, okay, what happens to those players if these moves happen? What happens to Vinny Jr.? I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if Vinny Jr. gets linked to a move to the Premier League. More specifically, Arsenal, who are looking for a left winger. He might not fit the stereotypical profile of an Arteta winger, but he might be that X-factor signing that takes him over the top in the Champions League. Of course, he's done that with Real Madrid before, and he might actually suit the physicalness and the combative nature of the Premier League as well. It might be a match that kind of floats under the radar ever so slightly. They're looking for Morgan Rogers as well, Arsenal, so you just never know where they're going to go with this. But I think the Olise one's very interesting, because coming off the back of this World Cup, he's obviously got a lot of plaudits from the Bundesliga season and the Champions League campaign he's had, where if anybody that watched Bayern Munich and in the Bundesliga and Champions League regularly will understand that this guy is unbelievable. There's been shouts of Ballon d'Or. He was touted as the most important player for France going forward in this World Cup, and at moments he did, and I think last night kind of epitomised exactly where Olise is in football, that when the going gets tough and he isn't there, then kind of the attack around them crumbles. What France is used to has been that Griezmann-type player that can do the doggy work, who can do the tracking back and do all the... He can win the ball back, and he can win possession back and dotted off to other players, but maybe Olise isn't that kind of player just yet. Maybe he was played out of position in this France team, and maybe, as we saw last night, the balance of the starting 11 wasn't quite there. Would he benefit more from a 4-3-3 where it's Mbappe on the left, Dembele in the middle, him on the right? Actually, I think that would probably be the way to go for Real Madrid. Maybe they put Jude Bellingham in that striker position instead of trying to shoehorn him into a midfield where, as we've seen in this World Cup, Jude Bellingham's best position is either second striker or as the main goal threat. I actually think him as a number 10 or as a false 9-ish kind of player where he doesn't really join in with the link up, or he doesn't really hang around the box and not goal hang's probably not the best way to put it, but he's not that out and out striker. He'll drop deep, he'll join in, and then he'll crash the box when necessary. I think that might actually be a way forward for Real Madrid, but I think adding Olise to that team would be incredibly exciting to watch. You don't know how much influence Mbappe's had on this. You don't know how much influence Florentino Perez and those above Jose Mourinho have had in this. It's an intriguing situation. And I'm going to go onto social media and just read up on what the instant reaction is to Michael Olise being linked to Real Madrid and the news that apparently he's keen on joining them. Someone's put there a lineup of. I imagine this is a lineup attacking wise: Mbappe, Olise, maybe Vini Jr, Valverde, Cucurella, Bellingham. That's a hell of an option to do. You've also got Trent Alexander-Arnold. You've also got Denzel Dumfries. That's kicking about. That suddenly becomes a very, very talented team with a manager who can maybe harness these players. A lot of question marks about the value. Is he worth a potential world record fee? Of course, the world record is over 200 million for when Paris Saint-Germain signed Neymar, but really, I don't know. It's just the timing of it seems weird. It depends on who the camp has come from, what camp it's come from. Has it come from Olise's camp? Has it come from Real Madrid? Has it come from anybody else? I mean, I have just refreshed Twitter on the Olise search, and it's taken me back to the 13th of February 2024, where Mark Goldbridge said, "I take Pedro Neto over Olise, and more importantly, so would Pep, Klopp and Arteta." I don't think that's aged particularly well, and I don't think that's particularly true now. But, don't judge him off of the one game in the semi-final against Spain last night. I think Spain has so much control of that situation, so much control of that game, that more or less nobody could have controlled the game in the way that people wanted Olise to. But this is translated, this is Nanino. The excitement is great and he's an incredible player, but watching yesterday's match, what Real Madrid needs to prioritise is the team as a whole. We can't forget about a creative midfielder. Signing Olise without selling some key players and strengthening the midfield doesn't make sense. And that ultimately, just to round off this quick kind of chat about the scenario in general, whilst the excitement of breaking a world record fee and Real Madrid kind of flexing their muscles the way they used to in the Galacticos era, and then with players like Bale, Ronaldo, and all of this kind of stuff, as Jeff Goldblum said in Jurassic Park, what a reference, I didn't expect to be saying this today, Real Madrid should take a moment to think if they should do this deal rather than could they do this deal. Could they do the deal? 100%, because they're Real Madrid. If they can find the money to do it, Michael Olise will be keen on joining them. He fits into that right wing slot where he can be the creative force of a team and allow the others to kind of do their thing. But is it to the detriment of the team? Well, maybe not the detriment, maybe that's a bit harsh, but the idea that, do you spend 200 million euros on one player, or do you try to spend 150 to 200 million fixing the other problems in the team and creating depth in the squad? That's the question Real Madrid have to ask. I think if they were to sign him, I don't think anybody would really complain. But in terms of the squad building, does it make the most sense? Let me know what you think below in the comments. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel. This is just a quick reaction to the breaking news that Michael Olise is keen to join Real Madrid from Bayern Munich this summer after an impressive World Cup. And after France's World Cup semi-final exit last night, there's going to be a lot of questions about this. There's going to be a lot of movement about this. This isn't going away anytime soon. It affects Bradley Barclay's future. It affects Yan Diamonde's future. It probably affects Vini Jr.'s future. So don't expect this deal to be done anytime soon, but expect it to influence the entirety of the European transfer market. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.